What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show.
Welcome
the Blazers
into the
today,
Blazers
Eric,
Uprise
they get
post-game
crushed.
Here are your
124 to 81, a 43-point whooping at the hands of the Minnesota Timberwolves. You know, last year it was said that it was tough to beat the same team 2 games in a row, but I don't think it was tough for the Minnesota Timberwolves to beat us today. Oh my goodness. Yeah, maybe there's something, I don't know, but with Anthony Simons not playing tonight, this is what we expected, and, you know, at least we got something positive. Jake Layman got MVP chance, so that's, you know, that's good, you know, that's a positive thing from this game, and then Brandon Williams had a solid game, so good for him. Outside of that, honestly, I didn't really watch this game. I'll be quite honest with you, man. So we don't even have much to talk about from this game. We'll talk about Brandon Williams, but the graphics are going to be light today. We're not going to do player cards around the NBA. Are you still muted? Yeah. Oh, I unmuted the song
instead of me.
I had to play that. Blame Gabe. He wanted the trumpets.
Well, Tori said that it was hard to beat the same team twice, and I said technically we had 3 different players than last time, so maybe that's a loophole to the rule.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Well, we botched that.
Yeah. Well, if the team's trying to lose, then it should be easy to beat them twice in a row, especially when it's a team throwing out those lineups, you know? But that's a good old excuse that was thrown out last year when we played the same team twice in a row, like 3 or 4 different times. This is really the only time that's happened so far this year that I recall correctly, and I hate playing the same team twice in a row. It's not baseball, it's freaking basketball. It shouldn't happen in my opinion, but you know, second game in Minnesota and another loss, which is good, right? Tank race is on. We will have an update on that in a little bit. We'll update on you that throughout the stream.
Can I update that right now?
Yeah, give us an update.
Kings up 12-4. Spurs with 2 minutes left are up 6, so hopefully they can hold off the Lakers. And the Pistons, I guess they're too far down to matter, but they won tonight as well. So actually a good day possibly for the tank race.
Yeah.
We needed one of those.
I mean, we're gunning for that 6th place in lottery odds. If the Kings win, we're only a game and a half behind 6th place in the lottery, which would give us a 37% chance at the top 4. If we're 7th in the lottery, which if the Spurs hold on to this win against the Lakers, we'd only be a half game back of 7th in the lottery. We'd have a 32% chance of the top 4. So right now we currently have a 26% chance at the top 4 in 8th place. So that could actually go down because, or no, that won't go down because we'll still be a half game ahead of the Knicks for 9th. So it was funny because I got in an argument about 15-20 minutes ago with a couple different people on Twitter who say that with certainty, Eric, the Blazers aren't getting a top 3 pick. And I don't know if people don't know how probabilities work, but when you have a percentage of a chance at something, it's not impossible and it's not gonna happen, all right? Even if it's a Happy Gilmore-esque you know, chance, it's still a chance, right?
Yeah, and it's, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm pretty sure we're not expecting a top 3 pick. We still have to get lucky, right? No matter where we finish. Even the top team only has a 52% chance of, or the worst team only has a 52% chance of staying in the top 4 or something. So even the worst team in the league still has a chance of not getting a top 4 pick. So it's just, I don't get people who, when you write something like, oh, I'd really love to see Chet on this team, and people are like, there is no chance in hell of that happening. 0% chance. That'll never happen. It's like, well, actually we have like a 20-some% chance of it happening, but okay.
Yeah, I don't understand that. People need to learn probabilities. I almost got a movie reference, right, Eric? I do not. It's a running joke with me. I don't watch movies, okay? I don't know movie references. Like, I am the worst when it comes to movie references, and I almost got one right. That was from Dumb and Dumber, not Happy Gilmore. But I tried, okay? I tried to start off this stream, in a unique way, because we don't have much to talk about when the team is tanking, so I'm trying to bring something new, something fresh to every stream. And the new thing for this stream was I tried to make a freaking movie reference, and now you guys understand why I don't, because I didn't even get that one right, and that one is definitely one that I should have gotten right. But, yeah, I mean... as far as this game goes, we'll talk about this game for a few minutes, talk about what you guys want to talk about. We're not going to go through player cards. Graphics are light today. Just figured we'd make this kind of a slightly shorter stream that is more geared towards what you guys want us to talk about. So in terms of this game, Eric?
I endured the entire game.
Yeah, I don't know why. I was watching Chattanooga and Furman. I'm not even gonna lie. I was watching
the highlight, yeah.
And it was a phenomenal game. If you guys haven't seen that buzzer beater, that was phenomenal. Conference championships in March just always there always ends up being one or two conference championships for smaller conferences that have crazy endings. And that's one of them right off the bat. So, very, very fun. I enjoyed myself tonight, Eric.
Crazy
I decided
shot
to
the win down 2. You hit like a contested deep 3 at the buzzer.
Game-esque.
Yeah.
But I decided to enjoy myself tonight instead of torturing myself watching this travesty. So since you watched this travesty, Eric, I'll let you take the floor and take the mic. What do you want to talk about?
Steve Dog says, he made me laugh out loud, Tori is the Blazers of movie references.
I'm the Houston Rockets of movie references. Let's keep it 100.
Yeah, so the game was brutal. There's no really way to sugarcoat this one.
Yeah.
We were just completely outmatched out there. Brandon Williams was fun. I think he's proving that he definitely has a spot in the NBA, and kind of jumped the gun. It's the same reason if Keon turns out to be good, that it still doesn't make the original point wrong, because the original point was we don't necessarily need another scoring point guard that's undersized, right? So even if he's really good, it's not necessarily a need for our team, but that was the only reason why I was kind of worried about the signing to begin with. He's definitely shown he is worthy of a roster spot, and it seems like that might have been a really good addition, and he can score against elite NBA players and find a way to get to the rim. And I like tonight he
had 16 free throws.
Yeah. So
wow.
In the first quarter, he made a point of passing on several drives that he would normally shoot out of. Mm-hmm. And I thought he was making some really good decisions, just trying to set up teammates. Now, every single time he did, pretty much the person missed the shot or something bad happened, a turnover that wasn't his fault or whatever. But I like the fact that he came out like a Dame or that Ants learned how to do, and try to set up the offense and try to get teammates involved first before you get going. And then he realized very quickly when he came back in, I think it was his second stint, or maybe it was towards the end of his first stint, that this just wasn't happening tonight, and that he just needed to try to create offense himself, and he did a pretty good job of that. So I was impressed by him tonight. I thought he did a really good job. Everyone else outside of maybe Keljin Blevins had a great game. But outside of that, hard to find too many performances that were very good tonight.
Oh, dude, the one regret I have from not watching this game is looking at Keljin Blevins' stat line right now.
Yeah.
11 points in 14 minutes on 4 for 6 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3. Per 36, I'm going to do the math on this. Per 36, he scored 1,056. No, that's not right.
That's not close to right.
28.2.
At least you realized that right away.
Yeah, no, I realized. I just wanted to say it. What did I even do? I did 411 divided by 14 instead of 11 divided by 14, because 11 points divided by 14 minutes times 36 minutes equals 28 points per 36 tonight for Keljin, the GOAT, Blevins. Round of applause for the legend himself. And then outside of that, yeah, it's very, very ugly. If in case you're just joining us, it's going to be a light stream graphics-wise. Just this, pretty much. We're going to talk draft and whatnot. I did not watch this game. I did not want to. It was ugly, and look at that score. But during this game, Eric, I didn't get tagged with anybody saying, see, Keon Johnson can shoot. He ended up going 3 for 14 from the field and 1 for 4 from 3. Got to the line 7 times and made all of his free throws, so that's a good thing. But I heard he was rough tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he had the typical flash, like he'll get into the lane, do his little spin move, finish nice, and then next 2 times he tries it, he turns it over. You know, it's just you can see the potential there, the flashes, but you also it's just, I mean, he's still a long ways away, and one of the things, because obviously this was one of the only reasons to pay attention, or the only thing to pay attention to, was him in the second half, how he's going to react. Because a lot of times he was playing without Brandon Williams in the game, so he was basically the primary ball handler, point guard. And this is still a young thing. Like it's definitely things he can learn. But I was a little discouraged on his feel for what to do when he has the ball in the offense, and there were several times, for example, where they ran a pick and roll, right, and he gets the big switched onto him, and normally, you know, an athletic guy like Keon should want to attack him and get to the rim or blow by him, right?
Yeah.
And he just kind of like gave up that advantage and then ran to a spot where his original guy could go back to him or whatever. And it's just like little things like that kind of kill an offense. And so he's going to have to learn that he needs to take advantage of those, especially in our current situation where we don't really have a lot of playmaking on the floor. And there were several times where he was just like in the wrong spot or did the wrong read off a drive or off a kick out or whatever. And so hopefully he can learn that. But those things combined with the 3 for 14 were a little discouraging for me. But his overall stats look okay because of the 7 free throws tonight.
Yeah, and I'm just going to be honest. I have more confidence in him. I have more confidence in his development in terms of reading and reacting to different situations under Chauncey Billups compared to playing under Terry Stotts. All right. We haven't gone the comparison between our current coach and our previous coach in a while, and a lot of people were happy about that, but I'm going to go there. Chauncey's, like, you just see Anthony Simons' jump in his playmaking ability this year, and it's extremely impressive. You look at how Watford has even made plays with the ball in his hands as a rookie. It's impressive, and Chauncey was credited last year with helping a lot of Clippers players in regards to that. So it doesn't even just apply to like creating for teammates. It just applies to situational awareness. I'm confident in Chauncey being Keon Johnson's head coach over the next few years and being able to, you know, help him learn some things he needs to learn because he's still very young. He's a rookie. So a lot of those types of mistakes are to be expected. I'm confident that Chauncey will be able to make some progress, and that's where getting playing time will help him as well, so that he
get some game film out there.
Yeah, slow down the game a little bit, get used to the speed a little bit more, so that maybe you can make these reads on time instead of the game moving by too fast for you. So the last 18 games of the season will be big for his development.
Yeah, and I mean, people are going to think this about both of us, that we're watching him like hoping he fails or whatever, and that's absolutely not the case. I want him to be awesome, and the better he does these last 20 games, or 18 now, the more he does, the better it'll be for us, right?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah.
See, keep going.
No,
keep going.
you go.
Bruh, I haven't said Terry Stotts' name in like 15 games. If you're so upset that I brought him up once in 15 games, I don't know what to tell you, but relax. Like, Mac Mall says, dude, Stotts is gone, let it go, it's getting old. I wanted Stotts gone so we wouldn't have to talk about him anymore, but y'all keep drumming him up, dude. I haven't said his name in forever. Go find the last time I said his name, dude. We never talked. We haven't. When was the last time we talked about Terry Stotts, man?
And dude, okay, it's not like, realistic to never talk about a coach that coached here for 9 years, man. Like, there has to be some sort of comparison. There has to be some sort of thing where we compare a previous season to a new season. Like, it's not like we cannot ever like talk about him. Just like Olshey too. Like, as much as we don't want to talk about Olshey. Like, there's no way we can not bring those two up in conversations.
Yeah, wait. Here's a reference for you, Eric. Do you want me to treat him like he's Voldemort and call him he who must not be named? Is it just saying his name? Is it talking about coaching in previous years compared to this year? Like, I don't understand. I mean, we haven't talked about him. That's the thing. Is like we could go a month without talking about he who must not be named, and then the second we bring him up, somebody is there to act like, oh, you guys always bring him up or always drumming him up and all sorts of things.
Or this story. Thanks a lot, JD. Like, I mean, this is just an ignorant comment, man. Uprise needs to reinforce their brand. # fire Stotts. Dude, we don't freaking talk about Stotts. Like, I don't understand what this is. That's dumb, man.
This is just disrespectful, man. Really? That's our brand? Yeah. JD, yeah. But I mean, I'm going to talk about coaching from previous years. That actually, when people complain about me bringing...
Some people aren't kidding, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I thought that was serious, too. So put like a /S if it's sarcasm. Because people seriously say that. That's why we thought it was serious. Now I get the joke. And now I appreciate the joke. But when people complain about me talking about Terry Lynn Stotts, it makes me want to talk about him more. So if you don't want me to talk about him, don't complain when I do like once a month.
See, if people would have just let Torrey say that thing that he said and not said anything about it, then we wouldn't even be talking about Stotts anymore, and that would have been it, and he probably wouldn't have come up for like another week again.
Yep, exactly. But here we are. Anyway, what else from the game? Is there anything else from this game you want to talk about?
Thought there was something else, but I mean, Hart obviously needs better players. Watford had an okay game. Fouled out, of course. He can't play 40 minutes like you said pregame because he just fouls too much. But he had a really nice move where he had a fast break. He kind of turned on the jets and got into the body of Cat, and then he kind of stopped and did like a half Euro step and just laid it in as Cat continued to fly by him. And then Ellaby was brutal. Eubanks wasn't good tonight. Macklemore wasn't good.
That's how he only played 8 minutes.
Hughes wasn't good. Greg Brown was unfortunately very bad in this one, including getting blocked on a couple of fast break that he should have. One of them, he got the ball a little inside the free throw line, and there was no one around, so he like took his time and went up super slow, and someone chased down and blocked him from behind, just because he took so long. And then the other time he had no advantage, tried to go like 1-on-4, and then Lehman blocked him from behind. So
good for Lehman.
He's got to learn to. Sometimes it's just not there, and sometimes, like we talked about before, he's got to learn to give it up to someone else so he can get it back instead of having to drive into a defender to score on those fast break opportunities. But I mean, overall, the Wolves just blew us out, and there wasn't much we could do on either end to do anything about it. But thankfully, we scored 47 in the second half to make it at least we scored 80 tonight, because it looked like we were going to have trouble breaking like 60 or 70 at one point.
Yeah. So at least we made it. I mean, I almost said slightly more respectable, but there's nothing respectable about this. The dude who's, by the way, the dude who was complaining about us talking about Stotts said that we should watch old Stotts clips for nostalgia. So I don't. What do you want, Mac Mall? Do you want us to not talk about him, or do you want us to watch Stotts clips for nostalgia? It won't be as entertaining since we won't rage and scream. Just like I would have raged and screamed if Gonzaga choked this game. I saw multiple people in chat saying the game's getting close, but they just made it a little interesting for fun. Very Blazer-esque. But yeah.
Okay, I gotta address some things about game watching right now, since you talked about the Gonzaga game.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, we do not want the Lakers to win this game. I mean, it's a final now. The Spurs won.
Yeah.
It does not matter. It does not matter. The Lakers do not need to stay ahead of New Orleans. They can flip-flop all they want. It's going to come down to a one-game play-in. The only difference would be where that game is played.
Yep.
And New Orleans doesn't really have that good of a home court advantage. I know they would be super stoked to get a home play-in game and have a chance to beat the Lakers or whatever, but theoretically LeBron and AD are going to be in that game. Conversely, we don't want Denver to lose, because what's going to happen is they're going to just be in that 7-8 play-in game. They're going to win the first one, and it's not going to be against New Orleans, so they're going to be the 7th seed either way, or the 6th seed if they stay ahead of the play-in games. And that's not going to matter at all. So it's just going to come down to whether or not New Orleans can win 2 games or not, and that's as simple as it is. They're either going to win both play-in games and get in, or they're going to lose one of them and we'll get their pick. And whether or not that happens, it pretty much does not matter what happens the rest of the regular season in terms of teams around them winning or not. It's just going to come down to that at the end of the season.
Yep. I know what I'm...
Because they're still like 6 games behind the getting into the first play-in game, which they'd only have to win once. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I know what I'm rooting for, Eric. I am currently 7-0 in picks against the spread today. I should have had Romp make a parlay bet for me, and then what would the parlay payout for a $10 bet would have been for 8 games against the spread? Probably a ton of money.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, and right now I picked the Kings 4-point favorites over the Knicks. They're up 16 at the end of the first, and I picked the Nuggets as, what were they, 8.5-point favorites?
8, yeah.
8-point favorites over the Warriors, and they're up 10. So I'm rooting for the Nuggets and the Kings so I can go 9-0. 8 games, one of them is a double down, so 2 wins or 2 losses. That's what I'm rooting for the rest of the night, if we're being quite honest.
Yeah, I'm 6-1 or 5-1 right now. So
5-1. Is anybody struggling? I think Chris is probably struggling, huh? Because he goes against the grain.
No, because he got his double down on the Pistons, so I think he's okay. I mean, he lost twice, but not too bad.
Yeah, good for him. We'll have that update on Thursday, of course. But we're rooting for the teams that are worse than us right now is basically the situation, and we're rooting for the Knicks. The Pelicans, probably rooting against them. It's kind of where it is at right now.
Yeah, I mean, this Knicks-Kings game, I think we want the Kings to win because we're still a little bit ahead of the Knicks in terms of the opposite way. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's going to be kind of confusing, but from now on, when I talk about in a good way, it means like higher towards the better odds, not better record overall. So,
yeah.
So the Knicks we're clear of now. We're all alone in that 8th worst spot. So we want them to lose this game to the Kings so we have a chance of the Kings passing us still. This is one of the few games that the Kings, I feel confident in, could get that win for us to possibly move down another spot or 2.
Yeah, let's just look at this right now, actually. I should have brought this up a little bit earlier. This is currently updated for the San Antonio game. As you can see, they're only a half a game ahead of us, right? Inverted standings. I'm not even going to disclaim it like with worse or anything. We're racing to the top of the lottery, so they are ahead of us because they are a half game worse than us, okay? That's, if I say ahead, that's what it means.
Tied in the win column.
Yep, for the rest of the year. Tied in the win column, so Portland gets another loss, and they're tied in terms of being 7th and 8th. Here's the thing that's crazy to me, that people acting like we can't get a top 3 or 4 pick or whatever. Right now we have a 26% chance at the top 4. If the Kings win today, and they're up big right now after 1, we're only a game and a half behind them for 6th. We're a game and a half out of having 37% chance of the top 4, which is better than 1 in 3.
And as Charlie points out, all 3 of us, Sacramento, San Antonio, and Portland, would be tied in the win column.
Yeah. And I mean, Indiana's three games ahead of us in the win column, 3 games lower, but I don't know, maybe they're catchable. It's going to be hard, though. It's going to be hard to get up to 5 right now. My sights are kind of on 6. I think 6 is very realistic, especially if Sacramento takes care of business and beats New York today. You do have New Orleans and the Lakers a game apart. Here's the problem, though, with this. Is I fully expect New Orleans to pass the Lakers, because if you look at remaining strength of schedule, the Lakers have the hardest remaining strength of schedule in the league. And it's not even that close. 53.2, 53.5, 53.6, and then the Lakers are 54.7 or 0.547, whatever. Now, they do play the Pelicans twice. So if the Lakers can win both those games, then they could stay in the 9th seed and the Pelicans could stay in the 10th seed, but their schedule is so hard. And then you look at New Orleans, they have one of the easiest remaining strength of schedules. They just played an extremely hard stretch and won a lot of those games. I fully expect New Orleans to pass the Lakers. I'm not even really going to stress about that too much, because I think it's almost an inevitability.
Yeah, I mean, New Orleans isn't like some dynasty team either. It's not like they can't lose to bad teams as well. They've been playing well, but it's not like we know for sure it's sustainable at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. But right now, Brooklyn's actually pick is in the lottery. They're tied 8th and 9th with Charlotte. Their pick actually goes to Houston as part of the James Harden trade. And then, of course, the Lakers pick, if it's 11 to 30, it goes to Memphis. But if it's top 10, it goes to New Orleans. So New Orleans could end up with the 1st and 2nd picks if the Lakers pick moves up into the top 2, and so do theirs. So that could be interesting on lottery night. Of course, then, it's going to come down to, we're going to be rooting harder for another team, harder than maybe we ever have before, Eric. In that first playing game, I can't believe how hard I'm going to be rooting for the Lakers.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. It's insane. But I am going to be rooting hard for the Los Angeles Lakers in the 9-10 play-in game. I no shame about it. It's rooting for the Lakers because you're rooting for the Blazers next year. That's basically what that is. So, we can embrace the Los Angeles Lakers, I guess, at this point, which is never something I thought I would say.
Both LA teams.
Both LA teams, because if the Pelicans win the first playing game, they could be playing the Clippers in the second one. So, we're going to be rooting for LA teams. I don't know what the world has come to, but this is what it is.
I forgot who that was. Remember the big brain? We traded Norman.
Rocco to the Clippers so that they can beat the Pelicans in the play-in and help us keep the pick we get for CJ. And look at Cronin, man. He's playing chess, not checkers. Anyway, let's do a good old...
You should have done a sim, yeah.
Yeah, let's do a good old lottery sim, all right? We haven't had any luck on, the last 9 or 10 post-game shows with the lottery sim, so I'm going to scroll up from the bottom and view it like a normal lottery. 14th, Houston via Brooklyn. 13, Atlanta. 12, we already get a team moving up, and it's Washington. The Lakers pick to Memphis at 12. At 11, oh my goodness, Eric, we're screwed. We always get screwed on post-game shows. I don't know why we still do this on post-game shows, because it's an absolute travesty. The Pelicans move into the top 4. We don't get their pick. At 10, your Portland Trailblazers move down 2 spots. San Antonio, Sacramento, Detroit. I don't even care about the rest of this now. Orlando, Houston. 4, Indiana. 3, Washington. 2, New Orleans. And then 1, OKC.
Yikes. Oh, yeah, that'd be brutal.
What will you swear if, like, New Orleans jumps into the top 4? Will you accidentally or purposely swear on stream?
If you give me permission, I will absolutely. Yes.
Chat, should we give permission for that? I will do a chat poll. Okay.
I don't think you need a poll.
I will do it.
It's going to be 100%.
I just want to see the percentage.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot about my mom. 99%. Everyone's spamming yes, except for my mom. You're too late.
All right, there's your chat poll, chat.
Oh, Charlie said no too. Did not expect that from Charlie.
There's your chat poll. I mean, you could swear because our pick moves into the top 4 too. I don't know, man. Maybe we should just make that a very colorful stream. But yes, we have to ask your permission because this is a democracy. All right. Wow, 16. I'm a little surprised. 16%. Maybe they're going to be watching the lottery stream with their family, Eric. Maybe this is a family channel now.
Well, what we do, I mean, I don't think anyone can argue that we try to be respectful of that, and we try our best not to ever cuss on these post-game shows. We may just have to have an explicit warning for that particular show because there is a lot riding on this. And like I've said before, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I am going to be very
what's the little icon they put in the bottom corner of like music that has curse words in it? We can put that on the stream thumbnail. Introducing innocent kids to bad language. How dare you? Yeah, I mean, maybe watch the ESPN stream if you got kids. I don't know. But that would be the most. We've had some devastating moments in stream history, Eric. Right? Like we've had some frustrating things happen. If our pick doesn't move into the top 4 and the Pelicans pick does, that would be the most tragic moment in Blazers Uprise streaming history.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how that'd go down. And vice versa, if we keep the Pelicans pick and our pick moves into the top 4, it'll be the most euphoric moment in Blazers Uprise stream history. I am going to be sick to my stomach going into draft lottery night if we have both picks. I mean, I might be sick even if we don't have the Pelicans pick if they make the playoffs. But, yeah, I'm going to be more nervous for that than anything in a while. Because
you could just mute me, though, and then people would see me, like...
well, I have like a bleep. I have a bleep
in the back.
I have a bleep button.
Nice.
Right when I see us get screwed, I could just like press that for a good minute, and then maybe at that point we will have accepted our fate. At that point, I don't know, but we will have a draft lottery stream. We will stream live. I will do graphics for that. So this is your number one stop for that. I'm sure other people will do draft lottery streams, but I'm pretty sure they won't do custom graphics that'll show you what's actually going on as it happens, okay? Because, we're the graphics guys. We do the graphics here just to add a little spice. We collectively, Blazers Uprise, we like to, give you guys a good experience, all right? So that when you get screwed, at least you have something to hold on to. Anyway, what do you want to talk about?
I guess we should just dive into draft stuff.
Okay, draft talk. Who do you guys want us to talk about? Let us know in chat.
The NBA draft lottery, by the way, is May 17th. On the first day of the conference finals.
Yep, and then the draft is June 23rd. So yeah,
the draft lottery where they choose the order is May 17th.
Shout,
a little over 2 months.
Oh, sweet. Speaking of two, a $2 dono from Oh, sweet. Says, Blevins the GOAT. Thank you, Oh, sweet. I like saying your name. Appreciate the dono.
Sweet.
Yeah. Justin Lewis, I haven't watched yet. I need to watch. That's a good name to toss out there, John Mitzak. I need to watch some Marquette. Big East basketball I really enjoy, so that conference tournament is going to be phenomenal. I enjoy watching Providence. Providence is entertaining. Jackson says, gotta freeze our envelope right quick. Be right back. Jackson, yeah, if you can somehow get the fix in, you will get a permanent third co-host spot on Blazers Uprise, all right? We'll have to figure out how to make the cameras fit, because Jackson messaged me earlier today and was apparently the Blazers Uprise Live cameras, mine is wider than yours, and it was frustrating him. So, we gotta do the cameras better, but you should try out the bleep button. I don't have it set up with this stream, but I can showcase it on a future stream if you want. I mean, I got a whole voice changer, but there's I don't know. I'm not a comedian like that, if you know what I mean. But I might have to learn for the rest of this freaking season, because there's going to be a lot of streams like this. Anyway, tonight's roster plus our 2 picks equals Summer League roster. Yeah. Dude, our Summer League roster, hey, Eric, we could be in for another Summer League championship.
Maybe. Well, I would assume Brandon Williams would play. And
then
we got Watford and
then you got
Greg
Chet,
Brown.
And you got Tari Eason. That's a Keon Johnson. That's dirty.
Yeah.
That's dirty. Aeromancer says, Tori, if I donate $20, will you do the rest of the stream in auto-tune? No, I won't. If you want to donate $20 just for fun, that'd be cool, but I don't have the voice changer set up, and I don't know, there's multiple steps to it, and it might glitch out, so, I'm going to hold off on that, but, I might have to hook it up for the off-season. So, has your, draft talk... Has your top 5 big board changed at all recently?
Yeah, it's very fluid.
Very, very fluid. I like fluid.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
Jabari's still my number 1. The rest of the guys move around quite a bit, depending on what my mood's like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Chet's right there at 2. I at times feel like when I watch Banchero that I want to put him ahead of Chet.
Yeah. But
then, I watch Chet again, and then I'm like, oh no, he's not. Banchero's not better than him, but it's interesting. I think Banchero is a little safer, but he obviously doesn't have the ceiling Chet has. I don't know. It's weird. And obviously the defense is what separates the two, in my opinion. So Chet is obviously a better defender. But Banchero's just shown me so much in his ability to pass and get to the rim and play that kind of high post type player that we haven't had, and I think that would free Nurk up a lot inside, and I think him and Nurk could develop some sort of go between. So I always those guys are really close in my mind, 2 and 3, and then I still have Ivy and Johnny Davis right there in that 4 or 5 range.
Yeah, I have. How
about you?
Chet 1, Jabari 2. And they're closer together than Jabari is to whoever's number 3. At 3 and 4, I go back and forth between Ivy and Banchero. Ivy just seems Ivy just screams star to me. The athleticism, some of the creativity with the ball, just his tools are phenomenal. And then he's shot the 3 ball solidly this year. Has that part of his game has grown. So Ivy just you watch the way he plays in college, and it just screams like a guy who's gonna do a lot of the same stuff in the NBA and be a star. Obviously, whichever team at number 3, if it's close, probably just drafts for need at that point. That's kind of the tiebreaker. You know, you don't just... If you need a guard, but you think Banchero is definitely better, you go with Banchero and figure it out at that point in the draft. But, like, if it's a team like, OKC has guards, OKC is weird. But,
At Detroit would be...
Detroit...
kind of need both.
Yeah, Detroit, because you could start, like, Cade could basically be your point guard, and then Ivy could be your 2 guard. Defensively, that's a lot of size. Ivy's 6'4", 6'10" wingspan. That up-tempo offense, he would fit there, you know. So it'll be interesting to see who ends up at 3, but that's my 3-4. And then beyond that, it's next year is Sharp is 5, I think, just because he has the highest ceiling left, and then probably Johnny Davis 6, and then AJ Griffin 7 is kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I still don't know what to do with Sharp.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that it's risky, but the reward could be he has a chance of being the best player in the draft.
Right.
Like he can score at all 3 levels, and he's extremely athletic and has, you know, moves well with the ball, handles the ball well, shifty. So that combination, it gives you a ton of upside. He has pretty unlimited upside. The thing is you could have said all the same things about Jalen Green, and then Jalen Green has struggled his rookie year, and who knows if he's going to become a star. You know, he's super inefficient. So I could see the same exact situation or the same exact play from Shaedon Sharp off the bat, maybe his first year or 2, but long-term, guys like that always have a pretty unlimited ceiling, in my opinion. Shout out to Annie, gets paid with the $5 dono, says, exciting that the Blazers are really committed to this tank. Yes, we finally have a direction, Eric. I remember mid-season we were talking about how this team didn't have like a direction. You know, they'd lose games they should win, they'd win games that they should lose, and it was confusing. It's nice to actually have a very clear sense of direction right now.
Mm-hmm. And that was confirmed by sitting out Ant in this game, so nice to know they are 100% committed to it, and that is exciting, I think, because the worst thing that could happen right now is to just go all out and try and win some of these games and then end up with like the 11th pick or something with our own pick, and then have it be even worse if we don't get the Pelicans pick and not really have a chance of ours moving up. So I think to control it, obviously, we can't control what happens with the New Orleans pick, but we can control what happens with our pick, how high it goes up. So, well, at least in terms of for percentage chance of in the lottery. So yeah, I think you just got to worry about ourselves right now. I guess if we're not going to tank fully the rest of the season, we still have 2 games against New Orleans or just 1?
1.
So I guess we could
maybe 2.
If we're gonna win any games the rest of the season, or want to like try to go all out to win a game, maybe those couple games against New Orleans would be the right ones. But yeah,
we play them on the 30th, and then we play them again on the 7th of April. So, yeah, but appreciate the dono, Annie. As far as upcoming games, because we don't have graphics tonight, in case you're just joining with us, I gave Chris the night off, decided to do a little bit shorter post-game show, a little bit more just geared towards what you guys want to talk about. Up next, Utah, at Utah, so that's an L. Okay, that's on ESPN. I'm sure ESPN is thrilled about that. But maybe Anthony comes back rested and drops 40. And I could honestly see us being in that game. Utah's struggled lately. Did Gobert play today?
Let me check. I did not see. I know he's questionable. Yeah, he did 12 and 13.
Yeah, so, I mean, they were healthy, and they lost to Dallas by double digits today. So, Utah's been struggling. That might be a competitive game, but I expect a loss there. And then the easy part of our schedule begins. It's Washington, Atlanta, New York. We need to lose that New York game. Brooklyn, Indiana. If we're going to catch Indiana, we have to lose that Indiana game. Then it's Detroit, San Antonio, Houston twice in a row, OKC, New Orleans, San Antonio twice in a row, OKC, New Orleans. So if we are really committed to the tank and tank well, we could lose to Indiana, give them a win, lose to San Antonio 3 times, give them 3 wins, and then we don't play Sacramento once again, or we don't play Sacramento this year. OKC I don't think is catchable, but if we lost both games against them, then we'd have to make up like another 3.5 in order to catch them in the lottery odds. So just gotta embrace the tank, commit to the tank, and regret for Chet, Eric.
Yeah. So interesting side note real quick. Nuggets were up 7. Had the ball, could have just ran out the clock. The Warriors fouled them with 13 seconds left. And Monte Morris hits the first free throw. I'm not sure about the second free throw, but the spread is 8. Oh, he made it. So they are up 9 with 13 seconds left.
If I had a parlay going right now on the games I picked today, I would be on pins and needles.
Let's see if the Warriors get a shot
Jordan
off.
Poole made shot. No, man.
Did he just ruin your spread there?
Foul them, please.
It's yours and Zach's double down.
The Nuggets? No, it's not.
Or Zach and Connor, sorry. Zach and Connor. Yeah.
No, man. Oh, I'm glad I didn't have a parlay on this. I'd have been pissed. So in Picks Against the Spread today, which is a segment on our second channel. If you don't know about our second channel, go subscribe. That's where our streams are going to be in the off season. We won't stream on this channel except for like draft lottery and the actual draft and free agency. We will still stream Mondays, Thursdays in the off season, just at like 9:30 p.m. Pacific time in the evening. That will be on our second channel, Blazers Uprise Live. Go subscribe. Link in description. But we had an episode earlier today. We start off every episode with Picks Against the Spread. We picked the 8 games against the spread for today. Before this game, I was 7-0. Okay? Nuggets were 8-point favorites. Jordan Poole hits a shot with 8 seconds left to cut it to the Nuggets being up 7. So that's an L for me on this game. That's really unfortunate. Everybody picked the Nuggets except for Krish.
Yeah.
So I guess it doesn't hurt me at all. It's just would have been nice to be talking about a 9-0. The other game left, Sacramento was favored by 4. I picked the Kings because I said they were less fraudulent than the Knicks. And so far it's looking that way. They're up 56-43 with 3 minutes left in the second quarter.
Yeah, well, Connor and Jackson both took the Knicks in that one, so if the Kings win, I could be creeping up in the standings as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Jackson gets passed up. I think I'm going to gain a bit of a lead, though, today. It's going to be interesting. Definitive one, I assume you said that right before I gave you an update on that score. I literally check back, I click off ESPN, look back at chat, and the first thing I see is the last comment. Does anybody know if New York won today? That's funny. Anyway, good to see you definitive one. So
there was a donation too.
Oh yeah. That's what I was forgetting. I was stalling because I was forgetting. Adam McVeigh, what's up, man? Appreciate the $5 Australian dono. Says afternoon, gents. Just joined in. How have you rated Keon now that he's getting some more minutes? I mean, he had a good shooting game last game, but was 1 for 4 today, 3 for 14 from the field. Like. He made 2 threes in a row, and I had people tagging me, kind of giving me crap for saying that he can't shoot, but he can't shoot yet. He has to consistently prove it for me to change that opinion. He needs the playing time, though, to kind of, for the game to slow down for him. I think he'll look better 10 games from now than he looks right now. It's a good thing that he's getting some consistent minutes. It's just hard to really fully grade him, knowing that he is a project. He's not ready to play minutes for a contending team right now. But, that's the thing, is like, if he looks rough, that's to be expected. How do you give him a bad grade for that? It's with projects, it's hard to be super critical of what they are now, because the whole point they're on a roster isn't because of who they are now. It's about who they could be in the future. I can criticize a trade because, I think that they don't really make sense as a fourth guard on this team. How is Keon Johnson going to get minutes next year? And then obviously he was the only thing we really got back for Robert Covington and Norman Powell, so that trade wasn't good. But in terms of him as a player, I think we just got to give him time, and he'll go through a lot of growing pains like he did tonight, but that's part of what's to be expected with him.
Yeah. Alex Wolf says Keon has huge upside, though. I don't know where people get that from. I mean,
I don't get that either.
People say that about athletic players, and more often than not, they don't ever use that athleticism correctly. But
yep, people said that about Greg Brown too.
I'm
I don't
just
see it.
yeah, I'm just a little worried about some of the tendencies or some of the. I don't think he has a good feel for what to do, and a lot of that is just being young. So that can definitely improve. As Tori pointed out when we got sidetracked with the stot stuff earlier, having a good coach that can teach you how to respond in those situations, especially now that he's going to have plenty of film to break down with him. So I think that's a good thing, and hopefully he can learn some of those things. And obviously just getting minutes itself is beneficial to a lot of these young players. So, and you can obviously see he has the quickness and athleticism to be a somewhat capable perimeter defender. It's just, I don't think he can guard outside of a 1 or 2 situation. So, I mean, not that that's bad or anything. It's just, I don't see him being able to switch on to bigs very well or anything like that. But yeah, it's just, there's still a lot to be determined. It's hard to just base any kind of long-term prognostication on these minutes right now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Okay, man. Okay, Aeromancer. We're not. Yeah, okay. So, I don't know. Do you want to talk about trades? I don't know where to go with this post-game show. I don't want to talk about the game anymore. Guys, what do you want to talk about? Give us questions in the chat. We'll talk about whatever for probably about like 10, 20 minutes. This is going to be a shorter post-game show.
And I mean, for those of you that watched from the beginning, we're not just going to repeat everything we talked about. So, like Gio asked us about Brandon Williams. Back at the beginning of the stream, we talked about him for several minutes.
Feel free to scrub back and take the playlist or take the thing and slide it to the left and watch the start of the stream. We talked about multiple players from this game. Not for long. There wasn't really much to talk about with this game, but we talked about a few different guys. So if you're wondering where that is, just watch the start of the stream instead.
Halftime in Sacramento.
Yeah, what's the score on
it? Kings are up 16 right now.
Nice. Second round picks. Who are okay? I haven't gotten your thoughts on the second round. I feel like. Who are some sleepers in the second round that you like for maybe our 38th pick?
Well, I mean, there's some guys if they fall, obviously, like Koloko. If
absolutely.
He's there on the board, I think we could both agree that would be a good pick. But if not, I kind of want to just go for a home run with one of the international bigs, whether that be my personal favorite is Ibu Baji. But yeah, like one of those type of guys who might not even come over next year because I don't want to have like 3 rookies on the team or whatever. So I would take a flyer on one of those guys or a Kamagate or someone like that,
Yeah. David Roddy, if he's available there at 38, I'd love that pick. He plays at Colorado State.
I mean, there's a lot of like late first, early second guys. If they fell, I wouldn't mind taking him like that. Yeah.
I see Roddy like projected in the mid 30s. So I feel like that's kind of a guy that's already in that range. Obviously, like Wendell Moore or Patrick Baldwin Jr., as you said, Koloko, maybe even a Christian Brown if they fall out. They're currently being projected in the late first. If they fall to the second, definitely good picks. But in terms of guys that are projected in the second, David Roddy is kind of the guy that has my eye right now. He's a fun player to watch. Caleb Houston was a guy who was a really highly rated high school prospect and hasn't really played as well as people expected him to at the University of Michigan. So it kind of go along with the theme that we've drafted with the past few years. He's on this mock draft I'm looking at. He's projected 40th, but he's like a 6'8" small forward, and he can shoot the ball a little bit. And it just seems like a guy that doesn't really have many skills together yet, but seems like a guy who's developable, if that makes sense. Seems like a guy that you could develop into a shooter, playmaker type of 6'8" forward off the bench long term. I would like to see him under Chauncey. And then there's another guy I had that I forgot. Champagny just as a scorer. Julian Champagny just as a guy who's averaging... let me look at his stats here. He's currently averaging 19 points per game right now. Not on the best averages, but he's playing for St. John's, not that good of a team. Gets a lot of defensive attention. He could be a guy just as a scoring punch. Could be interesting. Jabari Walker, I'd take a look at. Those are kind of guys on my radar. There's still a lot of guys that I have to watch, though.
Strother, too?
Oh, Strother. That's the guy I was trying to think of. Yes. How do I forget about Strother? Strother, I would take a hard look at. What do you think about Strother? Because maybe I'm slightly biased with him.
He definitely creates some problems with his length, which I like, and then I think that should correlate into him being a pretty strong defender at the next level. He's also a good rebounder for his size. He's got a nice little finger roll, like it's kind of silky. His finishes, so I like that. Great.
Yeah, floater, like a little 5 to 10 foot floater, which is rare for a 6'7" second round prospect.
He's really good inside the arc. Outside 3-point shot, I mean, he probably needs to improve it a little bit. But
he's shooting 38.5%. Like he's can get somewhat streaky, but he's a solid shooter and isn't afraid to shoot it. A couple feet behind the college 3-point line. Like I think he'll be a solid shooter.
Yeah. So as long as that continues the trend, because that's gotten better than the last time I looked. But that's probably his only knock. So he's probably, if that improves too much, though, it will probably sneak into the first round maybe. But he's definitely a solid player.
He might not even come out though. A lot of the things that I've read have him as like a late second or maybe even a guy who would go undrafted, and I really don't understand that. A guy with his skill set that can shoot, that can handle the ball a little bit at 6'7", that has a good floater and has defensive upside. I don't understand how that guy is a borderline undrafted prospect. That's absolutely wild to me. I know I was high on a Yai last year and he hasn't panned out, but that's simply because he hasn't been able to knock down shots. And that's pretty much the main thing, and his defense hasn't been as good as I thought at the NBA level. I am much more confident in Strother as a prospect than I was with a Yai. A Yai was just like, he does a lot of little things that should fit in on a good team, but the problem is if he wasn't, he's a good shooter in college and didn't end up being a good shooter in the NBA, and that was the most critical thing for him. With Strother, I have, he's bigger. I think he'll be a better defender, and I trust his shot more. So I am confident in Strother for sure. I'm not biased for Gonzaga guys, though. I wouldn't draft Timmy with the last pick in the draft, all right?
So as I've been watching these games, obviously I've been paying attention to college basketball the last few weeks a lot more than the NBA, but there's so many wings that, like, in my opinion, aren't that much different than guys who are going to go undrafted or that we could possibly get with our late second. So that's why I'm kind of in favor of just taking a huge or a swing on an international guy like Baji, because a guy that big that can move that much, he just really intrigues me with his athleticism being that big and his wingspan, the 7'8", 9'10" standing reach. I mean, I'd rather just swing for the fences with one of those guys. It doesn't work out, you can still use your other two-way and your late second to get, say, I don't know, just throwing out some names. Like Alabama has a couple of guards, like a Javon Quinterly and a Keon Ellis and a Jaden Shackelford. Like those are three guys from one team that I would not take early second, but like late round undrafted type guys I'd be fine with. Same with like teams like Baylor and Auburn. They have like a million wings that just they all seem kind of the same. Like I can't really differentiate between any of them. I kind of put maybe Strother in that category too. And same with I don't know. I just have like a whole list of these guys. Like Wendell Moore from Duke, I put in that category. Same with Trevor Keels. Like there's just so many guys that they're just kind of like that's literally what I write sometimes is meh on my notes. Like
I'm higher on Wendell Moore, more like noticeably higher on Wendell Moore than all those guys, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I wasn't
because I like his passing ability.
That's the thing that like a late second, but I'm just saying like overall, it's just I wouldn't take one of those guys with our early second round pick, but there's a lot of guys. Yeah.
Would you take Wendell Moore with our early second?
I mean, I wouldn't like be mad if we did that, but I don't know if he's got a super high ceiling in terms of spending a pick on a guard there.
Yeah, but I mean, I like Wendell Moore, honestly. Just because he's averaging 5 assists per game. Like, he's been a good playmaker and picked his spots well next to some better players, next to a really talented lineup. So I think that will obviously translate into the NBA when he's playing with, players that are better than him. Just, he's shooting 41% from 3. So just a guy that can pass, play make, shoot 41% from 3 isn't going to force much, isn't going to make too many mistakes. And then defensively, I think he could be a solid defender, maybe a good defender. I would take him with if our second round pick ended up being 31, I would take him. He's 6'6". And I need to see his measurements, but that's one of those guys and there's guys like this in every draft that end up slipping because they're a little bit older, and then they end up being steals. Like Herb Jones was one of those guys. Ayo Dosunmu was one of those guys, both selected in the 30s. Wendell Moore, I feel like, could be one of those guys.
Yeah, I don't like him quite as much as those two you mentioned. I just think it's more he's still at Duke because he's just kind of okay, like like you said, he's doing a good job of running the offense. But when you have like four McDonald's All-Americans basically you're passing to, it's easy to get assists to.
Yeah, so. But I mean, he's always had talent at Duke, and this is his junior season. His 3-point percentage his first 2 years was not good. It went 21% and 30%. This year it's 41%, so steady improvement there. And then averaged 2.7 assists per game last year. It's up to 4.6, so you like to see the jumps in those areas, and that's why he wasn't in the draft, is because he wasn't a good enough 3-point shooter at the college level. Before this season, he hadn't proven that he can shoot at the college level. This year he's proven he can shoot, and he's proven that he can play make a bit, so that's why now he's projected late first.
Yeah, I just don't see it. Like when I watch Duke, I don't see him. I mean, if he gets out on the fast break, he certainly can finish, but in the half-court offense, I don't see him creating much, like off the dribble or anything. So it's kind of hard for me to warrant him going above. Like some of those guards I mentioned are super crafty, can create their own shots. They don't have the percentages necessarily that Wendell Moore has, but that's because, like you were talking about with Champagne, is like they're like all they have on certain teams, and they get a lot of attention there.
Yeah. See, for me, he needs to be a small forward. So it depends on his wingspan, standing reach. I don't know what his size is.
To me, he doesn't look big enough. But that's just
and maybe he can be fine as a 2. Like, just as a role player, he has I think he's has a high floor. And at some point in the draft, you draft for high floor. Like if he ends up going to Golden State, it's gonna be like, oh, he's perfect for them. Oh, he's gonna be a really good fit there. If he goes to Milwaukee even, or like teams like that, it's gonna be, oh, he's gonna be a good role player right away. If he goes to a bad team, it's questionable, right? He's the type of guy that makes sense to be drafted by a team looking to win some games. Obviously, Portland's in a weird spot, but in the second round, I think we wouldn't be a bad idea to go for a guy like that. It just obviously it depends on his size, I just picture him being a catch and shoot guy who then if he gets ran off the line can make really good plays attacking closeouts. Not necessarily a guy that you give the ball to and he's going to do a lot with the ball in his hands, but we don't really need that type of guy. So maybe a little Josh Hart-ish in a way. Maybe that's the kind of mold for him to grow into in the NBA.
Yeah.
So, I need to watch a little bit more Christian Brown. I've tried to focus on Agbaji. I watched the Kansas game in the past week. I forget which game it was, but I was focusing on Agbaji. It was the game where he went 0 for 10. So he was, he was rough. But when I focus on guys, I try and focus a lot on like what they're doing defensively and then if they're making the right cuts. So a lot of times I'm not watching the ball. Christian Brown's a guy who's taken a jump this year, 6'7" shooting guard scorer. I think he could be somebody that's intriguing. Harrison Ingram, I'm not going to watch any Stanford games for the rest of the year, so that's somebody I'll have to do research on after the season. Who else? Who else has your eye, Eric?
Well, I just want to say Christian Brown. He rebounds well for his size. He crashes the boards, especially the offensive boards. He can put it on the floor a little bit. It's just another one of those guys where I watch him play and I'm just like, meh. So, yeah.
Who?
Christian Brown, yeah.
Is there any wing that actually makes you say, anyone in that range?
Like I said, that range isn't super locked in for me yet, so it's kind of hard to know who's going to be in that range. But yeah, I don't know. Not really. I find myself gravitating towards bigs more in that range.
Yeah. We need forwards though. That's the thing. A lot of forwards like that. It's like
I want to get our forwards with our 2 lottery picks.
For sure. But there's always like that's the thing is a lot of them might be but like one of them's gonna pop.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like who's that one, and how do you even like find that one? That's the key for GMs is you have a lot of players that kind of, seem similar. It's just trying to figure out which one of them is going to work the hardest, which one of their games has the most potential in the league, which of their games is going to translate well to the league. So that's what I'm going to try and do when I watch some of these prospects in March, when I do some research after the season too, is try and figure out which one of these wings actually truly has legitimate upside. And I think a lot of GMs are still trying to figure that out right now.
Yeah, I think the other problem for me is there's a lot writing on measurements too, because if you're trying to compare like 6 or 7 guys who are 6'5", 6'6", if one of them ends up with like a Nasir Little 7'1" wingspan, that could set them apart from the other ones.
I think this year might be the most intriguing draft ever in terms of just seeing what measurements are.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Hopefully most of the players get measured. I don't know. It's so hard for me to differentiate with some of these. And then a lot of it's I want to see how some of them step up in the tournament type atmosphere and the pressure of that too.
Yeah. So I will release like prospects to watch. That prospects to watch video might need to be like 15 players long. I don't know. There's a lot of guys to focus on during March Madness, so you guys should definitely watch March Madness this year. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't been into college basketball before, make a bracket, fill it out, root for it, maybe join a bracket pool so that you're invested in the games, but then just focus on prospects, because a lot of this year, maybe more than any other year, pretty much every prospect in the first like, obviously not this doesn't count for overseas players, but in the first, pretty much in the entire draft, almost every prospect is going to be playing in March Madness. In terms of the prospects that won't, you got Memphis might not make it, so Durin. Memphis is kind of close to the bubble, but they just beat Houston, so they just became a lot safer pick to make March Madness. You got, dude, I just looked through the entire first round. Blake Wesley at 29 in this mock draft goes to Notre Dame. They're on the bubble. Bryce McGowan's Nebraska. They're not going to make the tournament. Harrison Ingram, Stanford. They're not going to make the tournament.
They got to watch them in their conference tournament.
Yeah. And I'm already down to 44 before I get to my fourth player that's like playing college basketball that's not going to be in the tournament. Orlando Robinson, 44, Fresno State. They're not going to make it. Julian Champagny, 45, St. John's. They're not going to make it. But then it's like Sheboy, Kentucky, Justin Lewis, Marquette, Trevion Williams, Purdue, Alondes Williams, Wake Forest. Those are all teams that are going to be in the tournament. So Jabari Walker, Colorado, they're not going to make it unless they win the Pac-12 championship. Iverson Molinar, Mississippi State, that's another guy. But I went down this entire mock draft, and outside of European prospects, there was only 6 college players that won't be playing in March Madness or are unlikely to be playing in March Madness. So there's a ton of guys to watch in March Madness this year to scout as prospects.
Yeah. And I made this comment, I don't know if you saw it earlier on Twitter, Tori, but I feel like the G League guys aren't getting any buzz this year. It's hard for me to know how to rank them either because, like, last year you had Kuminga and obviously Jalen Green.
Those guys were super surefire, but then, like, Isaiah Todd slipped.
Right. But I felt like there was buzz about those guys last year, and now I feel like this year, like, everyone's forgetting about them, and I feel like, I mean, I don't know if this is just because I'm more focused on it, but like in my world, I look at all these guys like, you know, Jabari Smith and stuff, and like if he would not have been at Auburn this year, like I don't know if he would be considered as the number 1 pick, and like people might still have questions about him or might be like wondering what he can do. And it was kind of supposed to be the opposite for the G League team because they were supposed to be playing against like NBA caliber type players already, you know?
Yeah. Dyson Daniels is a guy who I don't know about at all. Late lottery.
He just had a huge game. Yeah.
Yeah, he just had a big game. I'm just going to rely on like other sources to kind of do the scouting on G League Ignite guys because I don't know. And I'll probably Hoop Intellect is the guy I trust most. I enjoy his content. You can definitely tell that he knows what he's talking about and puts in a lot of work scouting guys. So Hoop Intellect on YouTube, I definitely recommend him. He just dropped a big board. I'm going to watch it after the stream. But like Dyson Daniels, Marjan Beauchamp, which is crazy because Marjan, is that how you say his name? Beauchamp? How do you...
I think, yeah.
Beauchamp, however you say his name.
Beauchamp, yeah.
Yeah, that dude played at a community college that was in the same division, in the same league as the community college I played at. He played at Yakima Valley Community College for some reason and just dominated, and then went to G League Ignite and is now going to be a first-round pick. So I thought that was interesting. And then, but it's like you have Gian Montero's weird because he went to Overtime Elite and he's gotten no buzz and you can barely find footage on him. I don't understand that logic. He could be a guy that falls into the deep second round because of that decision. I don't understand it. Who's the next G League Ignite guy? You got what's his face? Michael Foster Jr. Wasn't he pretty highly regarded when he came out of high school?
I think so. I think, well, obviously, if you get the G League contract, you have to be a certain rank, don't you?
Yeah.
Did you say Jaden Hardy already?
Jaden Hardy. Oh, he's fallen. Yeah, that's what
he's fallen off a cliff. Yeah. I think, is it Scoot not eligible this year or something?
Yeah, he's not eligible, but he's going to be a top 5 pick. So next year, you know, I think his decision has panned out. If he was in the draft this year, he'd be probably higher than Ivy because he's been really good in the G League for his age, for how young he is. He's been the best G League player out of all the G League Ignite guys, and he can't even enter the draft for another year. So,
yeah, see, so that might be, I mean, that's been a strategy in the past, right? Just draft a huge high school prospect and hope that the 1 year outside of high school was kind of an outlier or whatever, and you're banking on that talent that they showed in high school. So that might be a way to go with our second round picks, is like the G Montero guy you mentioned. Just taking a flyer on someone like that who maybe just fell because they didn't get any exposure this year.
Yep. Fanbo Zhang, however you say his name. I am not rooting for him because he decommitted from Gonzaga to go to G League Ignite.
Tori, thought you said you didn't factor in bias.
It's not bias if I don't like the guy because he decommitted from Gonzaga. That was a mistake, in my opinion. That's a risky decision because Gonzaga, when they've gotten talent, have turned them into NBA players. Brandon Clark wasn't looked at to be an NBA player. He became a first-round pick. Same thing with Rui Hachimura. Was drafted 9th overall. When he committed to Gonzaga, he wasn't looked at as a future NBA player. He was looked at as maybe a fringe guy and then ended up in the lottery. So, very questionable decision by him.
Alex R. was asking why it says picks 54 and 55 are forfeited. Those teams lost their second-round picks because they contacted free agents earlier than they should have or were allowed to. So I felt like the punishment should have been more severe, but that's what they lost, was 1 second-round pick, and then were fined money.
Yep.
So
Kings are beating Knicks 71-60 right now. Little update.
So the G League thing, I totally understand the money because they're trying to pay guys a lot of money to go there. But now with like NIL deals and stuff, you can probably make similar money if you're a top recruit, especially going to a big school or whatever. So to me, the competitor that I am, if I was on a G League team right now, knowing that I could have played for like Gonzaga or Kentucky or Duke or whatever, and I'm sitting here watching the tournament and stuff, like without getting that chance to play in that, like that would just eat at me, man. I couldn't take that. I would almost rather play for free and have a chance to, play in the tournament and stuff, than play for the G League.
Yeah. Yep. I don't understand that, but part of me kind of wishes you could draft players out of high school, but then they had to spend a year in college or a year in the G League. That'd be interesting. Imagine Chet Holmgren's going to be on our team next year, and he's playing college basketball or something like that.
Yeah, I guess that would be tough because, the training programs at those colleges, you couldn't really oversee that or whatever. So
yeah, you wouldn't be allowed to.
But that's why I always wanted the G League to just be a true minor league, is because then you could get a guy in your system, and that would be so much cooler. The G League would be so fun if there was a team of prospects that didn't get drafted and were in their freshman year, and then they're playing against all these guys that did get drafted and are already on teams, and they're trying to make it into the NBA or make it to one of the teams that is already on there.
Yeah, see, that's the thing though, is that could, I don't know. I want college basketball to be better, not worse. I love college basketball, so I wouldn't be a fan of that. But at least I don't know. You got a lot of guys that come out straight out of high school that have to spend a year in college, and I think it's good for them. I think it's good, and I think it's for some guys it's not. For the frauds, it's not, because there's high school players that just dominate high school that would get drafted in the first round, but then they go to college and you realize that their game doesn't translate to even the college level. It's funny, Silvio De Sousa is a name that probably all of you have never heard of, but he was one of the best high school players back in the class of 2018, I think it was. And if he could have went straight into the draft out of high school, he probably would have been drafted in the first round. He went to college. Dude is not even close to an NBA player. He played for Kansas for a couple years, then transferred. I hadn't heard of him, didn't know where he went. He just fell off the radar, and I was watching that Chattanooga game today, and he's playing for Chattanooga. Averaging 10 points per game. He's a senior now. He only played 3 years, but somehow he's already a senior. it was just wild.
Wasn't that? Didn't he have? You said he went to Kansas, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the guy who had? Didn't he have eligibility issues or something happened with him? Yeah.
Yep.
So that might have been because of that. But
Aeromancer, I've never watched a full G League game. Never. Like, no shame in admitting that at all. Anyway, anything else for this stream, Eric? Anything else that you wanted to touch on?
Well, I was just looking at the recruiting service consensus index rankings for 2021.
Yeah.
So Jaden Hardy was number 2.
Yeah.
Behind Chet, tied with Bankero for 2. And like you said, he fell off. But that would have been a guy who probably would have gone at least top 10 last year, if not higher. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if they could have gone straight from high school. Guy you mentioned earlier, Caleb Houston, is tied for 6th in these rankings, and he's kind of lost some ability. But that might be a guy, like you said, would also be a good target because there is some ability there.
Mm-hmm. Patrick Baldwin was up there too, and went to Milwaukee, the school his dad coaches, and that hasn't worked out so far. Peyton Watson is another guy. I can't say I watched a full G League game, but I did watch some G League games or parts of them last year because I was interested in watching Jalen Green and Kuminga and stuff. And then they had that little bubble thing too. Yeah. Hunter Salas was a guy who was, I saw him like top 10, and then some sites had him like top 20. And he's a guy who, honestly, next year, depends on what Nemhard does, but Hunter Salas is going to be one of those guys that like starts slow at Gonzaga and then breaks out. Mm-hmm. And just be like, once he figures out how to shoot, that dude's going to be phenomenal.
It's weird because he doesn't shoot like at all. He's like a center who doesn't shoot threes, but he's a guard size.
But he's like super athletic. Yeah. Could be a really, really good defender. And has good ball handling ability. So, like, if he can figure out how to shoot, like Mark Few, there's always guys like Kelly Olynyk didn't do anything his freshman year, and then redshirted a year, and then became a borderline lottery pick. Rui Hachimura didn't do anything his freshman year, and then became a lottery pick. So I think Hunter Salas is the next guy like that. It'll just be a couple years for him. But he's a guy that could have came straight out of high school and probably would have been drafted maybe late first round.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway.
Yeah, interesting.
If you want to know where like teams are projected in March Madness, go to BlazersUprise.com and check out the article we just posted. I do bracketology, which is basically showing you what the NCAA tournament bracket would be if the tournament started today. Obviously, it doesn't start today, but Gonzaga right now would be a 1 seed. Arizona would be a 1 seed. Oregon isn't in the tournament. St. Mary's is a 5 seed. Colorado State's I had them as a 5 seed. I created a formula for all of this and have tried to perfect it over the past 5 years. So,
Knicks are within 3.
Knicks are coming back. So, hopefully they don't complete the comeback. We shall see. We'll stream again. What's today? The 7th of Monday. We'll stream again on Wednesday on the 9th, and then we'll have Blazers Press Live Thursday on the 10th, so no stream tomorrow. We'll discuss a lot more college basketball and draft stuff because it's March and the Blazers are tanking and there's nothing to talk about in regards to actual basketball for the Blazers because it is ugly.
Yes, it is.
Random with that one, Tori. What was I random with? I don't know. We want the Kings to win.
We want the Kings to win this particular game. Normally we want New York to win, but not tonight. I mean, it's not devastating either way. It just would help us in our quest to move past the Kings.
William Kuhn asks, would you trade 8 and 10 for 3? I would. Eric said earlier today that he wouldn't.
Yeah, and well, I mean, I don't know. I could probably be convinced either way, but I'm kind of liking the prospects in the 8 to 10 range. I mean, if the top 7 are some form of the big three.
Jabari,
Davis,
Chet,
Ivy.
Banchero, Davis, Ivy, Sharp, and Griffin.
Yeah, if that's the top 7, that means you're guaranteed to get someone between like Keegan Murray, Benedict Mathurin, those kind of guys, Tari Eason, O'Shea Agbaji, like all those guys, Nikola Jovic. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm kind of intrigued on getting 2 of those guys versus 1 of Banchero or whoever fell to 3. But yeah.
My whole argument is whoever you take at 3 is going to give the team a higher upside and a higher ceiling than than whatever combination of guys you get at 8 and 10. So that's why I would definitely do it, because for the Blazers, it's all about raising their ceiling to contender level so they have a chance of winning a championship. So I just take whichever one is left out, Banchero, Chet, and Jabari at 3, and I think that raises your ceiling, especially long term, and maybe even next year. So
yeah.
Anyway, anything else?
What if it was opposite? Let's say there was a scenario earlier I saw where we got 2nd and OKC fell all the way to 7th. How many first-round picks would they have to give you in order for you to move back from 2nd to 7th? Or would you not even do it?
Depends on what you could immediately flip those first-round picks for.
Right.
If you're talking about 2nd for 7th and like OG Anunoby, maybe. If you're talking about, because that's the thing, like if you traded 2nd for 7th and 3 first-round picks and you could get OG Anunoby with those 3 first-round picks, then okay, maybe. If you could trade 2nd for 7th and enough first-round picks to flip those into Pascal Siakam, I think you do it. Mm-hmm. So it's more so you look at it as like 2nd for 7th and who from a 3rd team that we can flip those picks for. And I don't know. But that's an interesting concept.
I mean, because OKC could call and say, yeah, they'll give you this pick. I think they still had 2 other ones. Well, they had the Clippers pick too, right? Which is...
I'd still be scared to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's like Chet or Jabari, watch them become just a superstar or something like that, man. That's what I'd be worried about.
Would you be more tempted to do it depending on who went 1? Like if Chet goes 1?
I'd be more tempted to do that because I have Chet number 1 and I have Jabari number 2.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I still like Jabari. If Jabari learns how to freaking dribble the ball and drive and finish, he could be really freaking good.
So they would have 7. Right now they have 16 because that's the Clippers pick. So 7 and 16 and 2 future firsts. So you're basically getting 4 firsts to move back 5 spots.
Probably wouldn't do it unless we could flip them for something that makes it a no-brainer.
Yeah.
We don't need depth pieces. You know what I mean? I'd be afraid that that's what like the 16th pick in whatever future first just ends up being, just like, oh, we maybe flip one of the first for a Larry Nance Jr. type of prospect, and then at 16, we take a guy that maybe can help right away but isn't somebody that's going to become a star, and then at 7 we take a guy who might become a star but is far less likely to become a star than whoever we take at 2nd. That's why I'd be worried about. Like, we got to raise the ceiling, so that's why I'd just probably stay at 2.
Yeah.
Guess what? The Knicks are up 5.
Awesome.
I hate the Kings, man. I hate the Kings. How do you let Julius Randle have 26 points on over 50% from the field? Frauds.
Nah, Shai doesn't make sense for us.
No, he does not. The Knicks are now leading, which sucks, but...
Especially with forwards on the board in the top 3 picks. Like, that's exactly what we need, yeah.
Anyway, anything else for the stream, Mr.
No,
Band?
thank everyone for watching. Hope everyone has a good couple days until Wednesday evening, and I hope to see you guys then on the post-game show.
Yep, we will catch you Wednesday or Thursday, hopefully. If not, hope you have a good rest of your week. Stay tuned on Twitter. I will be tweeting out some games to watch for college basketball. So if you're interested in that, definitely leave me a follow at ToryJonesYT. Eric is at HoopsJock. Channel is at Blazers Uprise YT. All the Twitter links are in the description box below. I will drop another college basketball article coming up soon. If you haven't read the one today, go check it out. And with that being said, until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!